Hello, my name is Kameron Pham, and I'm back doing another book review. And this time it's on a new book, and I haven't done a video in a long time. So right now it's summer break for me. School ended, and I guess that's the most important thing that happened. So now I'm doing a new book called Trump University Wealth Building 101. Your first 90 days on the path to prosperity. So this book it wasn't written by Trump, it was just edited by Trump. It was actually written by these actually a lot of authors. It's John R. Burley, J.J. Childers, Gary W. Eldred, Michael E. Gordon, Richard Parker, Philip A. Springer, and Marshall Silver. So I don't know any of those people, but so let's move on. So he said there's 12 things that you must have in your mind in order to become wealthy. So the first one is that you need to be passionate. So basically, passion is enthusiasm on a large scale. So basically, you don't have to simply love what you do, you have to be obsessed with it, and you need to make it big. So many people spend all of their time wasting their lives away doing work and stuff they don't like just to get money. So in order to get passion, you need to size up your interests, and you need to ask yourself if any of these interests that you have can turn into a viable source of income. And if you can come up with any personal blueprint or any foundations you can put in place in order to make money off of your current passions. His second thing he said to do was be tenacious. So basically, tenacious is a fancier way to say perseverance. It's pretty much refusal to give up or give in. It's basically, yeah. So many things don't happen overnight, even though many people think that Trump and, well, the people writing this book were born with the Midas touch, which is pretty much a story about everything you touch turns into gold. So basically it means many people think that they were born wealthy and that's why they're wealthy now. And he said that he is very fortunate. He got a great education from schools that he attended. However, he learned how to become tenacious, and then when he started in business, and that allows you to take you further places, because even though starting off with a lot of money and education is a very big advantage, being very perseverant, having a lot of perseverance will take you much further. And tenacity enables you to work through obstacles and problems without being worn down or negative. Every time somebody tries to do something big, there's going to be obstacles along the way. And the reason why people can't get really far is probably because they stop because of those obstacles. For example, if you wanted to start something like a business and then you're running into problems with getting money to start the business, then that's your first obstacle. You need to still persevere and find a way to get money, maybe take a loan or something, instead of giving up on the first step. The next thing is that you need to think big. We all start with small steps. Even when you were a baby, when you saw other people walking, you wouldn't want to keep crawling. So you need to think big. You need to stop crawling and start walking. And we all have to start with small steps, but you should get to the biggest steps as quickly as you can. Thinking small will limit your potential, and you should try to get as far as you can with your potential. So he said there's 3 tips here that will guide you. You should first ask yourself why your plans are so small, and then make your plans larger. It's like the saying, shoot for the stars. And the second thing he said that you should concentrate on managing your future and not your past. You should learn from your past but not stay there. So my mom hates history. She thinks that history is not important because it's something that happened in the past. You should live in the present and the future instead of the past. I agree with that. But it's still important to take notes from the past and where you can learn, because history normally repeats itself, and if you read the same book, then there won't be a different ending. So you should concentrate on managing your future instead of worrying about the mistakes you made in your past. If something bad happened before, you should just forget about it and then build up your future. Also, you should look at the solution instead of focusing on the problem. A lot of the times, whenever, for example, something like a math test, if you see a really hard problem, most people will be thinking about the problem without thinking about how to solve it. Because sometimes whenever I see a really intimidating problem, I think about how hard it is and why I might not be able to do it, and thinking of excuses and stuff. But instead, you should be thinking about ways how you can possibly take on the problem. And then another thing he said is that you should leverage knowledge. You should study a lot and build up a lot of knowledge as quickly as you can. he spent a lot of his time studying 40 Wall Street, which is a building he had interest in, and it eventually became the home of Trump University. So basically, he studied as much as he can, and when the opportunity came, he knew everything about the building, and he figured out that the owners were having trouble managing the building and took advantage of it. As a result, he was able. It's July 5th. People are still lighting fireworks outside. So, anyways, he was able to buy a 1.3 million square foot landmark, the tallest building in Lower Manhattan as of that time. I think there's a bigger one now, but he bought it for $1 million in 1995. It's 1.3 million square feet, and as of now, it is currently worth estimated $550 million. So he took a very good opportunity because of his knowledge, and he was able to make a lot of money, even though I don't think he's going to sell it, but now he has a really good place. And also, the next part of the 12 says you have to be thorough. There's no such thing as knowing too much. You should always know as much as possible, just in case something bad happens. And even if you have a lot of security, you should always know more, because nothing hurts to know. I mean, it doesn't hurt to know everything. So, even though you can't learn everything, there's always something to learn. You should learn everything you can, because you never know when information will come in handy. And you should also resolve to move forward and learn as much as possible. So, and then after that, it said take action. From earlier, the previous one, it says leverage knowledge. Not only did he learn about the 40 Wall Street building and all of the weaknesses from the owners so you could exploit it, but he also took action by going forward and actually buying 40 Wall Street. So that's why knowledge alone is enough. You should also take action and work on top of the knowledge. So he says that sometimes some things seem really easy when they really aren't. He gave an example, for example, golf. Golf looks really easy. It's pretty much a bunch of old guys hitting a ball and it goes into a hole. But even though you might know everything about golf, because maybe you watch a bunch of YouTube videos on it or something, as soon as you pick up the golf club and try playing golf, it's pretty much a different world. It gets a lot harder than you think. Same thing for some of the sports I watch every once in a while. For example, sometimes I see clips of soccer players, and every time during PE I try to play soccer, it's much more difficult than it looks, so I always end up being the goalie because I could use my hands, so I'm not good at using my legs. So basically, you should... Wait, I'm moving off. So, you shouldn't underestimate things, even just because you know everything about it. You should not only learn, but you should also take action and start practicing for yourself. Next, he said that you have to take risks. Many people are afraid to fail, so don't try. I think there was a hockey player, he said, you miss every shot that you don't take. People are afraid to fail, so basically, sometimes during, once again, math tests, for example, people see really hard math problems or any problems at all. And sometimes, even though they run out of time, even during multiple choice tests, people will leave some of the problems blank. You should take risks, even though you're not sure a problem is completely correct. If you're running low on time and you don't have any other option, instead of not answering the problem because you're afraid it's going to be wrong, you should answer it anyways, because you have a chance of getting it right. You could take risks. I don't think there's any penalties in the SAT when you guess, right?
There is.
There is?
Uh-huh.
But how will they know you guess?
Well, you get it wrong, they deduct point from you.
Will they deduct points if you don't answer?
Yeah. Oh, they don't. They will point if you don't answer.
Oh, so it's different for the SAT, I guess.
Yeah.
So, if you take some risks, even if you get criticized, there's not a single wealthy person in the world right now that didn't take any risk at all. Even some people who got money off of, like, the dumbest things. For example, there was one person, I think she became the first billionaire by getting everything off donations. It was kind of dumb how she became really rich, because I think there was a trend going on. People started donating to one person in order to make her like the world's first youngest billionaire or something. But it's still, even asking for money is a pretty brave risk, because even though it's really easy to ask for money, there's some bad sides that can come out of it, because you can ruin your reputation, and even some really difficult things such as creating the light bulb. There was a lot of risk involved with it. He had a lot of attempts and he took a lot of risks. He spent a lot of money on patents and stuff, and it was still, in the end, it was really worth it because he was able to create light bulb, but not the electricity, of course. But give yourself a challenge, not once in a while, but every day. Then he said you need to, the next section is know your audience. You should always take efforts to know who your audience is, whether it's talking to someone you know or someone random, because you have to find out what you have in common and lead the conversation with it. Because he said that even though he's a billionaire, he can also have bad days because billionaires also get stuck in traffic. If you happen to be talking to somebody, try to find as many things in common as possible and start a conversation. And because people like other people when they're more relatable with them. You have to take the time to know what your audience wants so that you can create a bond that never existed before. And then the next section says you need to learn how to negotiate. It's really important. Negotiation isn't just debate. Debate is a really important part of negotiation, but it's not everything in it. Negotiation is also learning about the person on the other end of the conversation. You need to learn everything about them and how you can become relatable with them so that they will like you more. Negotiation is one of the keys to business in life, and he said that one time he was negotiating with somebody he didn't like until he discovered that he also enjoyed golf. And then suddenly they had something to talk about, which is golf, and then they began to enjoy each other's company more often. You need to understand what the other side is coming from if you want to succeed. For example, comedians know how to play their audience, and so do the best public speakers. That's why they're really popular and people view them positively. So the first thing you need to know is know exactly what you want. You need to be clear about your own purposes, and then after that you can find out what the other person wants. During negotiations, the first thing you should do is find out what you're trying to get out of it before you find out what they're trying to get out of it. Because you should, it sounds greedy when I say this, but during a negotiation, you should probably put yourself in front of other people because it's a negotiation. If you're not negotiating, if you're favoring another person, it wouldn't be a negotiation. It would be more like doing them a favor or helping them. So during negotiation, I listened to this from another book, but the person who places the first offer is always the loser. So I watched these YouTube videos. It's called Pawn Stars. So basically, they put in a very valuable item and then they try to sell it for as much money as possible. And then the salesman there always asks, how much money are you willing to get out of it? And that's because the person who puts out the first offer is always the loser. Because the salesmen are pretty smart, and then they got the person, let's say someone was selling like a really valuable chessboard or something, and they said they wanted to sell it for $500. And the moment they put out the offer, now the person on the other end of the negotiation now knows that $500 is the most they have to pay. Because as soon as you set the line on how much you want, then you can work off of it. So whenever you happen to be negotiating with somebody, always ask what their first is. Such as, even when you're getting a job, because if you say you want a job and they ask you how much you want to get paid, if you end up saying something like 80K, now they know that the absolute most, in the worst case scenario, they have to pay you $80,000 salary. And after that, they'll slowly cut you down as low as possible until they think that if they go any lower, you might leave, and then they'll just leave you at that for low pay. But if you ask them how much they're willing to pay you, and they say something like 70K, now you can get from 70K to as high as you want instead of 80K to 0. So that's kind of something about negotiation. So, and then this person, he found out when he was hoping to acquire 40 Wall Street, the building he bought for $1 million. He learned as much as he could about the Hindenburg family, the people who owned the building, and then he wanted to make the deal more personal because he wanted to do with the family's AJ and wanted to know them personally so that it will be easier to do negotiations. And then he flew into Germany and met with them and told them about what he was planning to do with the building. So he walked in with an aggressive plan in mind, and he stuck to his own strategy. And sometimes you have to be stubborn because that's a part of negotiation. You should hold your position instead of letting the other person take control. So you shouldn't limit yourself, but you should learn how to balance passion with reason. Sometimes people say, although sometimes it's good to be stubborn, you shouldn't take it too far because sometimes stubborn people can be viewed negatively by others. That's why, even though you're very passionate about something, you should still have some degree of reasoning to your actions. Because passion can get your adrenaline going, it's very helpful. However, it can lead you to lose focus. So you should always focus more to stay on track. Another thing he said was you should always listen to your gut feeling. We have instincts that were created for survival, and the important thing is to know how to use them. You should listen to whatever your gut feeling tells you, because he learned to trust his gut and steer clear from any issues. Sometimes he doesn't like people just by first meeting them, although it kind of seems a little like biased in a way. It's sometimes, even though it's your gut feeling, that you should always trust it. Well, you should trust it for the most part, and you should spend some more time with this other side of yourself. And then he said you have to enjoy competition. He said he likes competition because he thinks it's healthy. I also kind of like competition, and some people don't like competition because it makes them nervous, but competition can fire you up. It can make you more passionate about things, and if you find joy in competition, then you'll probably be better at competition. It's part of being passionate. And one of the last things he said is that you should be your own best asset. So you should, like, everything you do should have your own name and reflect everything about you. He said that he avoids the commonplace and gives tenants and buyers more than they might expect, and that's a part of the Trump brand. He said you should kind of brand your own name. Everything you do should reflect upon your own ideals. You should become your own best asset, and the mentality of your investor should be yourself. And I'm going to go a little bit over the second chapter before I end this. He said, rich people think differently than poor people. He first said, because in this book, he's going to talk a lot about rich people and people he called paupers, which paupers means, I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, but it means poor people, because I had to use it as a kind of synonym while writing an essay to say poor people. And he said that millionaires, he doesn't really qualify rich millionaires if they work 70 or 80 hours a week, slaving themselves, sacrificing their family and their personal health to get a couple $1,000,000 a year, and they sacrifice their well-being. That's not considered rich. That is just, I don't know how to say it, but it's not really rich. So he considers poor people to be people who aren't earning any more than $1,000,000 a year. And he said that it's that's kind of, people may say it's really unreasonable. It's kind of unreasonable because there's still some people out there who earn maybe $600K and are still considered wealthy, but that's just his definition of it. He said many people think that's easy for you to say. He said that people say you don't know what it's like to be kicked out of your own apartment or for not being able to pay rent. He said that actually he does know what it's like. I don't know who's saying this because it's like 8 different authors, and it could be Trump who's saying it, but Trump is the editor, so I'm not really sure who said it. But the person who wrote this book said that they were raised in a farm in Michigan with no running water, no electricity, and sometimes no food. So with all of that stuff, it made him more grateful for what he has, and that kind of became more of motivation for himself because he has more things to worry about. So he said that his humble beginnings were what allowed him to see things differently. And this sentence he said is actually like really powerful. He said, if all the money in the world was divided evenly among all of the people, within 5 years it would be back right in the same hands again. It's because people who know how to make money would keep making money, and the hardworking, positive, motivated, intelligent people would stay poor. So it's not really a matter of like being born rich. I mean, it is a matter of it, but if you were born rich, then if you don't have any knowledge about money, then it's most likely that by the time you die, you'll probably have no more money. That's why people who are rich and stay rich do have a lot of financial knowledge, and that's why people, even though money, if it could be divided amongst everybody, people who know how to handle money will keep the money. So, and then he said that you need to adopt the millionaire mindset, and I'm going to go over the first difference I said. It says millionaires eliminate minimum wage activities from their lives. He says as long as you fill up your day with minimum wage activity is not possible. Then he said that do you pick up? No. Do you take out your own trash? Do you pick up around your house? Do you do laundry? If you say yes, then if you want to become a millionaire, then don't do any of these. So this is the first thing I kind of disagree with. So even some people still have to take out their own trash because they don't have people to do it for them. So I think he's.
It depends on if you have a better paid job. Let's say if your job you're making like $60 an hour, and then you rather work and make $60 an hour than spend 1 hour picking up trash, where you can hire someone and pay them $5 to pick up trash for you, and they can do better too because they're an expert in that area. That's all he's trying to say.
This only applies to a few people. If you're somebody that's not doing anything at home and you have a lot of time, that doesn't mean you just neglect your chores. You should still probably do them, because even minimum wage is better than nothing.
They teach you work ethic, if better than staying home and don't do anything.
He said that if you want to be a millionaire, then you need, based on a 40-hour work week, to earn, your time is worth $500 an hour at minimum, and that's like a lot of money. So any action that doesn't make you more than $500 an hour will not progress you towards being a millionaire. It doesn't mean
that's because he's born to be a millionaire. He's born, it's like maybe his family gave him a gift, maybe a couple thousand like that, equivalent to us like $10 like that.
So you can still do your chores, but like if your time is more valuable than your chores, like if you can pay somebody less than the amount of money you can make in an hour, then you shouldn't be doing
That's
that.
why you don't see mommy doing like cleaning the restroom or cooking or do all that, because mommy get pay higher than that, That's why I don't want to do all that. I delegate, out to other people who can do it, and I rather spend more time doing my task where I get paid a lot more and what I'm good in.
Yeah, so you should see which minimum wage activities you can eliminate from your life, because allow you to make more money that way. And for example, if you spend 2 hours a day arguing over a cell phone bill because the company overcharged you $10, that means your time is worth $5 an hour. Don't spend a lot of time arguing or fussing over little things, because your time is worth much more than that. Abraham Lincoln said that if you have 1 hour to chop down a tree, you should spend 40 minutes sharpening the axe. Because you could chop down a tree with a dull axe, but then after that, the next tree, you'll be too tired and too worn down to do it, and your axe will probably be broken. But if you spend some time investing into education, sharpening your axe, and then you can chop down the tree quickly, and then you can keep going on to the next one, because you wouldn't be spending an hour hitting a tree. You'd be spending 40 minutes calmly sharpening it and 20 minutes just hitting it. So you begin to grow. You should grow into a place where you'll no longer have to trade hours for dollars. Your time is worth a lot much more, because time cannot be bought by money. Time can earn you money, but money can't earn you time. It can only reduce the amount of time you use. And then he said for years he traded his precious hours for too few dollars. And many people who are laborers at the end of their lives regret not spending much time to themselves or to their family, or because they spend too much time working. You shouldn't spend all of your hours working. It's not worth it in the long run, because he said that one time and he was in his early 20s, he was searching frantically around his couch for enough change to buy a box of macaroni and cheese, and he was about to be kicked out of his apartment, and then he had to start cleaning out his mind of pauper thoughts. He asked himself, how can I create more wealth? And by doing so, he was able to slowly see the big difference between millionaires and poor people. So it's pretty much all in the mindset. That's pretty much everything for today's video. So I discussed why developing a mindset for success is really important, and also 12 ideas. You should be passionate, tenacious, think big, leverage your knowledge, be thorough, take a lot of action, take risks, know your audience, learn how to negotiate, listen to your gut instinct, enjoy competition, and also be your own best asset. Thank you, and hope you guys enjoyed this video for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.